Monday, July 10th, and this is Geeknights. Tonight, part 3 of our continuing series in how a computer works, the flip-flop.
Let's do this. So we've said this almost every Monday, but we're saying it again. We're back from a crazy weekend.
Yet another convention over.
Yep, this time we were at Kineticon for Saturday only.
And apparently someone thought we were going to be there all 3 days. I don't remember saying that.
I'm pretty sure we said we were only going to be there Saturday. And even if that weren't the case, I submit to you, who goes to a convention just on Sunday? Especially a convention that cost as much as Kineticon.
And who makes 4 podcasts a week and has time to go to a whole mess of conventions for full weekends?
The thing is, I would have stayed the whole weekend. I just didn't have a ride home.
I wouldn't have stayed the whole weekend.
You know why I would have?
Unless it was much, much cheaper and, yeah.
I would have because I was there anyway and I would have just hung out.
Well, we'll talk about it on Wednesday.
Yeah, we have quite a bit to say about Kineticon.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing we will say, I know we have a lot of new listeners because we met a lot of cool people at Kineticon, and many of you took our flyers. In fact, unlike previous cons, people actually asked us for flyers.
Hooray.
Also, I've just noticed in the Libsyn and such that we have a lot of new listeners regardless of all that.
Hooray again. Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome to Geeknights.
Zombocom.
Anything is possible.
Now, the drawback of that to all of you current listeners is that you're going to have to hear us talk about all that new listener crap again.
All right, new listeners, listen up. This is Geeknights. It's a podcast. If you're listening to it, you already know how. You don't need any more help. We have a forum where we talk about the stuff that we talk about on the show, on the internet, on the show.
The forum is pretty kicking.
Yep.
We actually have a lot of people in there, more so than a lot of other podcasts we know that have a lot more listeners.
Yep. So if you got to us by some other means, such as iTunes, you want to go to frontrowcrew.com.
Yep, the forums are there, show notes are there, links to everything we talk about. We have a Frapper map. You can see where all our listeners are. You can marvel at the fact that many of our listeners are not Americans.
You can email us at geeknights@frontrowcrew.com if you want to tell us something, and then we probably will read it on the show if it's intelligent.
Yep, we've just started reading things more and more recently. We'll probably be reading a lot more as we continue to argue with Anime World Order.
Yeah, if you want to send us some audio, you can just record a little MP3 or something and email that to us by attachment or put it on the web and link to it or something like that. And
or if you're a Luddite, find us in person and give us a CD.
Yeah, Luddite.
Did Artboy actually give us that CD over the weekend or no?
He said he gave it to you, and then I said no.
He didn't give it to me.
He said you didn't give it to him. Give it to me, and then he didn't.
He said he would give it to me, and then he didn't, and then I left.
Hey?
Great.
Good job.
Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, that's all we really got to say about that. Actually, we have a lot of interesting leader bits, more so than other days, completely unrelated to the weekend. We'll hold off on reporting on Kineticon until Wednesday, which is Anime Day.
Yep.
Today is Monday, which is Science and Technology Day.
That is right. We're going to talk about some technology today.
But of course, before we do that, we always cover the news and whatever, crap happened in our lives. And mine's real short. I was in the Bronx doing some work, and I got off work early, like earlier than I'd expected, which was kind of annoying because the Ninja Consultant podcast is tonight celebrating their 1-year anniversary, and they invited us to their awesome party down in Manhattan, which Scott wanted to go to, but there was no way you could have made it.
There's really no way I could have made it.
And I wanted to, but as far as I knew for most of today, I was going to be stuck in Yonkers all day, and it's a pain in the ass to get from Yonkers to Manhattan on a weekday night.
It sure is, because most of this stuff's going the opposite direction.
So I told him, sorry guys, we can't make it. And then, like 4 hours later, I'm in the Bronx, and I probably could have gone, but it was too late. It was too late to change my plans.
Yeah.
So instead,
I'm sure we will hook up with those guys. They were at Anime Next, and I guess we missed them.
Yeah.
We met every other podcast in the universe. And they'll probably go to Otakon. We'll have to ask them.
Well, yeah.
We'll definitely hook up at Otakon.
Otakon, we're having one hell of a podcast and party.
Oh, we sure as hell are.
But we'll talk about that as time goes on.
Yes, we will.
Now, because I had all this free time in the Bronx, and I've needed a haircut for, I don't know, about 6 months. Because for anyone who hasn't ever actually seen me, I have very long hair. And it had gotten too long. Now, aesthetically, I don't think there's such thing as too long. But
what if your hair was just dragging on the floor?
I could do cool things with that.
No, that's just a mess.
Well, you see, I'd bind it or something.
If it's hanging down below your ass, it's a mess.
I turn it into rope and make a belt out of it.
See,
anyway,
that's just bad.
The operative part is My hair finally got so long that it wasn't sustainable, and the hair was breaking at the front of my head because it was too heavy in the back. So I got this cool lady who didn't speak much English, but she was very good at cutting hair, cut my hair. But the funny part is she didn't speak a lot of English. And when I walk in to this barbershop salon and I say, like, I need a haircut, she looks at me with this mortified look on her face. And she runs over and she's like, no, you cannot cut that hair off. It's beautiful. I won't do it. And I was like, no, I just want to trim. I'm not cutting it off. And she's like, oh, come in, I'll wash it. Like, she really wanted to wash my hair. And she kept telling me how much she loved my hair. And it was kind of fun. She gave me an awesome haircut for very little money.
Next time you'll have to go find some like fancy place in the city with the fancy.
See if they give a better haircut or not.
Yeah, all those frou-frou people, and like the gay guys who cut hair. And
or
all
like
that
that feng shui haircut on bullshit.
Yeah, you don't want that. But yeah, like those super ultra fancy $200 salons that are all tricked out and hipster.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Scruffy's $300 haircut isn't so snazzy.
No, it's not.
Now, I think Scott's leader bit is a little more interesting.
Yeah, so like people may or may not know, I got a speeding ticket in Jersey last week. Now, when I got a speeding ticket in New York, they just kind of gave me the ticket, and then I dealt with it, and that was it. In New Jersey, it went a little differently. You see, today, I don't know how to talk about this. Basically, it was a big ticket, so I didn't really want to pay it, especially since it was sort of bullshit and the cop was an ass, and I wasn't really...
Yeah, whatever. Anyway.
Unlike the New York ticket, which I just baldly admit.
Get to the important part.
So, I considered getting a lawyer to go to the court for me to do whatever. And I found out today, while researching lawyers and emailing them and such, that in New Jersey, you can just go to this website and pay your ticket. Just ding. But also, in New Jersey, it goes on like the record of the court when you get a ticket. And it's kind of weird that today was the first day I had ever contacted a lawyer, ever. Yet today was also the day where I received how many letters in the mail?
What, like 5, 6?
More than that. It was between 5 and 10 letters from lawyers. There was an army of traffic lawyers in New Jersey watching the court record for traffic tickets and sending basically junk mail to anyone who gets a ticket.
Now, this is evidence to me that there is some sort of racket going on, some sort of economic incentive all the way around.
It's an obvious racket, and the fact that it's so obvious means there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it attitude going on.
I just find it hilarious.
Yeah, the thing is that the lawyers I actually talked to were basically saying, yup, speeding is bullshit, yup, it doesn't make the road safer, yup, it's just a way for the states to basically bandit you on the highway, and here's the only goddamn things we can do about it.
Basically, the best they'll usually do is go and talk to the judge and get a speeding ticket turned into a parking ticket, which means, with the speeding ticket, the state takes a cut and the feds take a cut depending, and all these people get a cut of the money, and you get a small percentage. If a town writes a parking ticket or certain other kinds of tickets, it's a municipal thing, and they get all the money. So a lot of places will turn your, 2-point speeding ticket into a 0-point non-moving violation, not reported to anyone parking ticket. But the parking ticket is, 1, more money than the speeding ticket, and 2, all of the money goes to the town where the judge presides.
Yeah, basically my choices are pay a $200 speeding ticket and then gamble on how much my insurance will go up for the next 3 years. Or 2, hire a lawyer for a pile of money who will go to the court for a pile of money, get the ticket doubled to $400, and then my insurance won't know. So it's either a big cost right now or a potentially bigger cost in the long run.
Now. Here's the point where Rim, that is me, gives to Scott, that is him, the kind of advice that Scott, that is him, would usually give to someone like me, that is me. Why aren't you just me? I have a lawyer on retainer from my company who will fight this for free. Why don't you have a lawyer for free? It's your fault for not having a free lawyer. You suck.
My company didn't give me a free lawyer.
Oh, well,
you didn't even know there was such a thing as free lawyers until you got one.
I guess you suck for not having that,
Anyway.
Mr. The kids in Ethiopia should just crawl their way to the border.
That's not true. The point here is that basically I've decided I'm probably just going to pay it. because I won't get any points on my license because I'm a New York driver, which is good.
Yeah, New York State, despite the fact that they use the speeding racket to make money, they won't accept tickets from freaking any other state.
Well, they will. They accept the ticket. They just don't add points to your license.
Well, no, so they don't really accept it, as in it doesn't do anything.
But your New York insurance still finds out.
Well, yeah, but they can find out independently.
Yeah.
Because they look in databases and they get notified. But, well, that's also a racket, but we could talk about car insurance another day. But
Yeah.
New York won't give you grief about a ticket you got anywhere else except Ontario.
And Quebec.
Yeah, which was great when I was in college because I drive through Ontario all the time speeding. But I was a Michigan resident, and Michigan doesn't accept tickets from fuck anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm a New Yorker, but I don't go to Canada so often anymore.
Me either, because we're very far away from it now.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be we're right next to
We're
Canada.
almost as far away from it as you can be in New York.
Yeah.
Which is probably the Hamptons, as far away as you can be from Canada.
Maybe some Staten Island.
No, the Hamptons at the end of Long Island.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, Long Island is big.
the thing is, even if it costs me more money in the long run, it'll feel less painful, and it give money to my insurance company, which, while evil, is less evil than the racket in New Jersey.
Are you still going to go fight the ticket?
I don't know.
Because I will warn you, if you do fight it, they'll probably, if they do find you guilty, which I'm not going to give my opinion either way, you're welcome to fight in our wonderful judicial system. But they usually tack on a court fee that's a lot of money, like $80 or $90.
Yeah.
Plus an administrative fee and then a state surcharge.
Yep.
And magically, those things don't happen if you just plead guilty and don't put up a fight.
Huh.
Yeah, funny how that works.
See, now, what I really want to know, is there a way I can sue New Jersey or sue these lawyers for sending me junk mail?
You know what the answer is? Everyone thinks that, and it never happens. You should ask all the lawyers and give them as much verbal trouble as you can.
Is there a way, there has to be a way maybe to like charge all these people with racketeering or something.
Wait a minute. Why don't we, because New York is a state, a one-party consent state, meaning if you call someone on the phone, you're on a phone conversation, if any one person in the conversation consents to the conversation being recorded, that conversation can legally be recorded. I'm not 100% sure about New Jersey, but I'm pretty sure it's the same way. If that's true, we'll set up our Skype. You can call every one of those lawyers. We'll record them all, and I guarantee we'll get some funny bits.
The thing is that when I called most of the lawyers, they had, they said sensible things. The two lawyers that I've actually
No, I
spoken
say
to.
get them on how'd you get my address? So you sit and troll the database watching for people getting tickets and just ambulance chase them? What's the deal? Why, and to see what we can get.
All right, maybe that'll get something.
Maybe one of them will explode all Edgeworth style on us.
That'd be awesome. Some of the lawyers, actually, if you look at the pieces of paper they sent me, were pretty humorous lawyers of various humorous and stereotypical backgrounds.
All right, anyway, we should probably move on to the news. Now it's science and tech day, and I got some science and tech here. Now, DNS has been around for a long time. It's the system that you type a
domain name.
Well, yeah, you type a name into a web browser or something, and it gets translated by this system into an IP address, which is the address that you want to connect to. I'm doing this in very layman's terms because anyone who doesn't need layman's terms knows what DNS is, especially our Monday listeners.
Mm.
Now, there have been a lot of people who say that DNS is broken or old or stupid, and a lot of people who propose alternatives. And a number of people have tried to actually create alternatives. And a current one that is making the rounds is OpenDNS. Now, their shtick is that they protect you from phishers, the people who have eBay.com.
Or Goggle.com.
And then they try to trick you into giving them account information or installing spyware, all sorts of bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And their shtick is that they reroute common misspellings of major domains to the actual domains, protecting you. Which, I don't know how I feel about that, because what if your domain is just similar to another domain, but it's not one of those sites?
Yeah.
I really don't like it when humans
You're really
make decisions.
depending on these guys to know which domains are real and which ones are not, and to maintain that.
Yeah, now just when it comes to internet technology, I am very much leery of any point at which humans start making decisions as opposed to computers with algorithms, because algorithms are 100% reliable, unless the algorithm is broken, and then it's broken in a reliable way.
My problem here is really that they're solving a problem. They're finding a use for it. It's good for hacking, From a hacking standpoint, it's interesting to use a tool to solve a problem that it wasn't designed to solve, but they're solving this particular problem in the wrong spot, thus causing other problems. There's a much better way to solve the phishing problem, and that's a spell checker in the location bar of the web browser.
Now, there are bigger parts to this than that. DNS is old, venerable, and it works very, very well. And I'm going to make a broad generalization about IT students and young technology professionals in college, because I was once there, and I know. It seems to me that everyone who's a freshman or a sophomore at an IT school, or even a lot of CS schools and MIS schools, will always, once they start learning about DNS and they start making DNS servers, talk about how, they're so smart and DNS is stupid and broken and it's on its last legs and is going to be replaced any day now by something better and everything's corrupt and all this crap, and they always come up with some crapo solution to replace it. And you're dumb. I'm telling you right now, once you get 2 more years of schooling, you're going to realize that that's not true. DNS is mostly just fine. Your idea was a bad idea. Now, people who don't realize this...
I will agree that there is probably something better than DNS.
Oh, definitely.
But...
Well, 1, DNS works very well.
How are you going to do it?
2, DNS is not designed to be transitioned to or from, really. If you have a DNS system and you want to use an alternate DNS system, you can't use both on your computer easily because of the way DNS works. You'd have to do a lot of hacking to make it work reliably when you're talking to 2 separate name hierarchies. So, if you want to use one of these alternate DNS systems like OpenDNS, you have to just go switch to it entirely. Now, OpenDNS at least relies a little bit on the root real DNS servers to get a lot of its information. Mm-hmm. So they kind of piggyback off of that, but they add their own stuff. Like, they can add their own domains, they can do whatever they want. They do one really kind of shitty thing where if you type in a domain that isn't real, they will redirect you to their own website that's full of ads.
Yeah, if you type... Well, it's not full of ads.
It has ads on it, and they make money off of them.
That's how they make their money, is if you go to a site that really, really doesn't exist at all, and it's not just a misspelling, you're just way off entirely, it will send you to a web page with an ad on it, and that is clearly labeled as an ad, and they get money from that. Personally, if I go to a site that's not a site, I want it to say, this is not a site, and that's it.
Now, my problems with this, because people might say, why rain on these people's parade? They're doing this, and they think it's a good thing.
And it's optional.
Yeah, but these guys...
At least they're not screwing up the existing system.
No, but there have been things like this before, and there'll be things like this in the future. The people that do this are spending so much time and resource, and I just get this vibe that they're really kind of scary people. Maybe if one of them listens to Geeknights, they'll call in and give us some feedback on this, but I note that Slashdot had the story about OpenDNS. Immediately, one of the guys from OpenDNS is all over Slashdot, shilling it and arguing with people. Even better, his arguments really gave me that vibe of like a fanboy who's defending his fanboyness more than a technologist who's defending his technology. It's like
It's really hard to defend this as a technology.
Yeah, I mean, DNS is fine. It has problems. I could do a whole thing about DNS. I've probably said numerous times I'll do a whole thing about DNS.
Someone write that down. We need a thread in the forums. Anytime we say we're going to do a show on X and we never do a show on X, that's because we forgot. So someone make a thread in the forums and everyone go and post all the X's that we've never done a show about that we said we would, because, we come up and it's time to do a show and we go, what do we do a show about? If we had a list of all those things, it would be so much easier.
Unless it's Wednesday, because anime days we just knock off without even thinking.
Yeah, well, that's easy. But, the Mondays and the Thursdays.
Yep. But yeah, my real suggestion here is that I highly recommend, this is my professional opinion as an information technologist, don't use alternative DNS structures. They are often slow, unreliable, broken, shady, or just dangerous.
And the problems that OpenDNS solves are better solved via other means, such as a spell checker for the location bar in the web browser.
Or just, societal cultural change or better law enforcement or whatnot.
Yeah, people learning to understand the difference between real sites and fake sites and all sorts of other technologies are much better technology-wise for stopping, what's it called?
Phishing.
Scamming. Yep.
I
was like,
chop your dollar.
spam? No.
I chop your dollar.
Spam? No.
Well, they want to stop spam with it, too.
Yeah, that's not good.
See, the best thing about this is that someone posted something I haven't seen in a while, that there's a forum that someone made a long freaking time ago, and it is a list of reasons why an anti-spam solution will fail. And whenever someone proposes an anti-spam solution, someone smart will take this form, check the appropriate boxes, and post it on wherever the solution was posted.
I remember that.
Yeah, and someone posted it for this, and you know what? That is one of the few technology memes like that out there that, once again, in my professional technical opinion, is almost 100% accurate. If you come up with a spam solution that defeats that thing, you are an instant millionaire.
Pretty much, if you're thinking about a way to stop spam or phishing or anything like that, just go to this website, and every time you think of something, look at the list, and keep trying to beat the list, because when you beat the list, you're Bill Gates #2.
If you beat the list, you'll have Slashdot behind you.
You will be so mad monies. We should go look at it right now.
I know it practically by heart.
All right, so in other tech news, Firefox, which is the browser everyone should be using.
Yeah, well, there's a story that may or may not be true that it was that it hit 25% of a market share.
Yeah, anyway, Firefox 2.0 Beta 1 Release Candidate 1 is coming out.
Woo!
Which I wouldn't recommend using as your full-time browser because it's Beta 1. But you can put it on a thumb drive and run that without messing up your existing Firefox install.
Yep, and also, if you really like Firefox, you can use it and test it, and when it breaks or something doesn't work the way you want it to, tell the Firefox people.
Yeah, and the Bugzilla whatnot. You don't even really have to install it on a thumb drive. You just have to get a thumb drive version, install it in some folder like on your desktop. Anyway, the new features, which is what everyone really wants to know, is why should I go to the new Firefox? What's going to be different? And the thing is, when Firefox 0.7 was out, I was like, what could they possibly do to make this better?
Hell, Firefox, like almost every version of Firefox, I thought, this is almost perfect.
And then 0.8 came out, and I was like, God damn if that isn't better. And 1.0 came out, and I was like, God damn if that isn't better. And then they were like, we're coming out with 1.1. And I'm like, what are you going to do? There's nothing left to do. Oh, God damn, they proved me wrong again.
All right, so what the hell did they add?
Is what they're adding. They're going to put close buttons on all the tabs, which is something they've been arguing about.
Can I turn that off?
I don't know.
Because I don't think I like that.
I don't know.
But that's an aesthetic thing.
Yeah. The the search box in the top right?
Yep.
They're making it a lot easier to manage what's in there.
Good. Because I like it, but if you're not someone like us who knows a lot about this sort of thing, and you wanted to put something in there that someone else didn't already make and make an easy way to do.
Yeah, you know how sometimes your browser crashes and then you open it again, you lose all your tabs? And some people made extensions that will save your tabs? Well, now they're just going to do that.
That's good. Even though while I'll say your browser shouldn't crash, Firefox crashes a lot for me now.
Now, here's something they're doing. This is my biggest one that I love because they removed the other one that I like. You know how there used to be extensions that do this, but they don't work anymore? That would add a spell checker to the browser.
Yeah.
So if you're typing in a comment box, you can spell check that shit.
Yeah. As an aside, I'm glad that all of our forum users are using the spell check we put in.
Yep.
That's all I got to say about that, Mr. Period.
Oh, yeah, we upgraded, anyone out there, we upgraded the forums, and now they're much more awesome.
Yes, we've like, the issues that remain are almost insignificant. There's no way you'll even see them.
Yep. And if you do have an issue, just let me know, and I will upgrade the appropriate bits. All right, so there's also an anti-phishing tool. Guess you don't need OpenDNS.
Haha.
And basically what that is if you go to a site that has been blacklisted by Mozilla, it'll warn you, but you can still go to the site.
I like that. Of course, blacklist suck is one of the options on the spam solutions that fail forum.
Well, I don't think they mean it to be an absolute spam solution. It's just a little helper.
Oh, yeah, I like helpers, but as long as no one thinks that this will protect them from anything.
No, Firefox, just using Firefox protects you a lot. And the thing that I wanted that they're removing is the new bookmarks thing. Because, bookmarks in Firefox now are kind of crappy to manage.
You know what? Honestly, I hadn't noticed because the more I use Delicious, and two, the
less you use the bookmarks.
The more this whole Web 2.0 thing, my bookmarks exist solely to have all my banking sites, which are in my Delicious now.
Yep.
And my webcomics.
My bookmarks are solely my RSS feeds, the lot for the, whatnots.
Yep, see, I don't use RSS.
Yeah, and websites that I visit once a day, like all the webcomics and Slashdot. And also quick things, like if you make a bookmark of a website, you can make a short name for it. So if I type in dig and press enter, it actually goes to dig.com/viewall. And if I type in Gmail, it actually goes to mail.google.com/blah, blah, 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 blah to my email. That's what I use bookmarks for. But anyway, there was going to be a new bookmark manager called Places. And it was really cool, but they got rid of it. They canned it. So, sadness.
Great.
Yep. But there are many other awesome things, mostly the spell checker, to look forward to.
Now, actually, very happily, as I poke around in the stats of Geeknights, fewer and fewer people use Internet Explorer in any way to view Geeknights. At least our website.
Yeah, well, you know what it is? It's that Internet Explorer might still be bigger than Firefox, but the thing is, Firefox users use the web a lot more because they have Firefox and it's easier, and because people who use the web a lot more are more likely to use Firefox.
Yep, and I gotta say, in the last 6 months, I have not run into a single website that did not work in Firefox.
Yep, so while I would argue that while it's probably true that more people and more computers are on the web using Internet Explorer, I would say that more web pages are loaded with Firefox.
I don't know, because even the most generous estimates put Firefox at about 25% market share.
Yeah, which means that Firefox users only have to use the web 4 times as much as normal schmucks. That's not much.
Yeah, true.
You know?
But I'm just saying that a lot of people use IE.
It is a lot.
A lot of grandmas.
But I mean, even think if it's only 10%, I use the web 10 times as much as normal schmucks.
But then again, think of this. I work in a technology firm.
Mhm.
I've worked in every company I've worked for has been a technology firm. Other than RIT, where it was all punk, awesome tech kids like me, IBM, my current company and everything, every single person except for like 1 or 2 used IE.
But how much did they browse?
They browsed a lot.
Did they?
Yeah.
I
I mean, at IBM, there was one guy I knew. He sat a floor down from me in the office high-rise. I don't think he ever did work. And not like me, where I just didn't have a lot of work to do. He just, didn't do work. He just sat around surfing the net. He had Kazaa running all the time.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't
Whoa.
know. He's a big anime fan, too. He had wall scrolls. Kind of scary. Kind of a fanboy.
Whoa.
I don't know how he had a job there, but maybe the fact that he has a job there is the reason I chose not to work there anymore. But on a very broad scale. But I think there are a lot of people who are in the technology industry who know their shit about routers or internet technology, and yet they use IE. Which I could say, I guess that means they don't know their shit, but then that corollary leads me down the path to almost no one knows their shit.
That's pretty true.
I hate to make the argument of everyone's crazy but me, because the logical conclusion of that argument is that I am crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You agree to that, Scott? You just agreed to that. Are you going to stay agreeing to that? Because I have some arguments with you after the show, if that's true.
What?
Is the argument that everyone is crazy but me silly or not?
It's a little bit silly. But
Okay, I got you.
It's not always true.
Yeah, whatever.
It is possible that everyone is crazy but you.
Yeah, Occam's razor.
Yeah, 99.99% of the time, you're crazy.
That's all I needed.
0.01% of the time, yes, everyone is crazy but you.
Well, it's like Evangelion. You have a 0.00000000001% chance of surviving.
Well, no, you know what? What's the population of the world?
A lot.
Okay, so 1 over a lot is the chances of everyone is crazy but you.
Possibly. I mean, you got to take into account, I don't know, free will and all, maybe quantum theory.
Whatever.
Yeah.
1e over a lot.
E to the pi I.
Yeah, is the chances that everyone is crazy but you. Things of the day. For any new listeners out there, the things of the day is we each pick some sort of thing on the internet usually.
Some sort of thing of the day.
Yes, and we talk about it, and at frontrowcrew.com there are links to the things of the day for you to listen to or watch.
It's just whatever weird thing we
Or
happen to
read.
find. They've been very popular.
Yep. So my thing of the day today is a prank call, if you will, but an interesting one. This British guy calls up a Chinese restaurant, and he tells the Chinese restaurant an order. And then he says, hold on, my friend is coming, I might want to change the order, whatever.
Yep, he's like, read it back to me, but just give me a minute. I got to get my friend on the line.
Yep. So he then calls another Chinese restaurant, and he puts them on hold. Then he connects the 2 Chinese restaurants and gets the one to repeat the order to the other.
Now, if you don't see where this is going, both Chinese restaurants now think that they're taking an order from the other Chinese restaurant.
But actually, yeah, you get the idea.
It's quite hilarious.
You gotta listen to it. They're like, delivery? We don't do delivery. We do delivery. We don't do
It's
delivery.
like, you come pick it up? No, you come pick it up. But we don't deliver. Yeah. And if you've never seen a train wreck, this is probably the most perfect conversational example of a train wreck ever created. It is just two people talking, but not understanding.
Yeah, and the thing about it that really makes it work is that you call Chinese restaurants and you don't really communicate in complete sentences. You just kind of say words that give the whole idea.
Yep, like when I order
So when
Chinese...
the guy says, I don't do delivery, the only word that really means anything there is delivery. So the guy's like, we don't, we do.
Yep, and it's like, egg foo young? He's like, yes, we have egg foo young. Like, egg foo young? Oh. It takes them a while to finally, they're both just like, you know what? Forget you. And then they hang up on each other.
Yep. Quite fantastic.
It is well worth listening to. I'd play it all in the show, but, copyright and all that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any copyright, but whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, my thing is much less amazingly funny, but it's more somewhat useful. Someone made a chart that's, for the most part, accurate of all the major religions in the world.
Including some things I would call cults and not religions.
Yeah, whatever. Well, it depends on how much of a distinction you make, but everything
I have a list of 20 characteristics of a cult. If you have 10, you're a cult.
Remember that argument we had with the Scientologists?
Yep.
That was great. I was like, you're a cult. They're like, no, we're not. And the argument really didn't get much beyond that, but that's beside the point.
Yep.
Scientology is on the chart. It's just a chart of all the world religions. And one, if you read through it, I know a lot of people have heard about Gnosticism because Christianity is in many ways based on some of the ideas of Gnosticism.
Mm-hmm.
But I have not met many people in the world who know what Gnosticism entails. And this is, while not a perfect explanation
I know very
of
little
it,
about it.
It is a better explanation than I've heard given by almost anyone in my life other than people I know who know about it.
The other interesting thing is they cover a lot of those little religions that you don't really know anything about.
Like Jainism.
Yeah. There was one religion, when we went to Israel, there was a religion like these people, they were so small, they literally had one village was the whole religion. And they also had a village in Egypt. It was like 2 villages, and that was it.
I mean, it's got like Shinto and the Sikhs and Zoroastrianism and Mormonism. Christianity's all lumped into one, but that's because it covers the basic, the things that all...
Did they split Catholic out, though?
No.
No?
Because it goes so basic.
I would say Catholic, Protestant, Mormon.
Well, no, because Mormon is separate. But Catholic and Protestant, while they disagree on a lot of things, at the very, very core, they're mostly identical.
Yeah.
It's just all the mysticism and spirituality and stuff beyond that is different. But the interesting thing is they also have some stats as to how many people adhere to, or in the case of atheism, don't adhere to.
Yeah, they're very rough estimates.
Yeah, and there are a lot more atheists
Well, except
out
for
there.
the small religions, it's very easy to know.
Yeah, there's 8 guys. They live in Long Island.
There's 70,000 people. They live in the city. But
yeah, atheism's trickier because they use there's anti-theism, positive and negative atheism. Like there's some atheists who, there is no God and I'm sure. And there's atheists who I just don't believe in anything. And atheists who, I don't know, I don't care. They're agnostics. They're, all these sorts of shades of gray. They lumped them all into one as non-religious.
Yep.
There are a lot of non-religious people.
Like 1 billion non-religious people.
Yep.
The Muslims give us a run for our money. So do the Christians.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll have some sort of Halo tournament to settle that once and for all. All right. Now,
what's Master Chief's religion?
Master Chiefism, obviously. But anyway, on to our main bit, being Science and Technology Day, as I've said a lot, only because we have so many new listeners, and I hope they realize that Geek Nights is broken up into 4 distinct days with 4 distinct sets of topics. And Tuesdays are gaming, Wednesdays anime, Thursdays pretty much any geekery that fills in the cracks and voids. And we've been doing a long-running series, long-running meaning we've done 2 episodes so far.
And this is the 3rd episode.
On how computers work. We're
going to tell you everything everything I learned at RIT at least. So, and then after that, we'll tell you everything Rim learned.
Yep.
So you're getting basically a free RIT, CS, and IT education.
Now, this will take us a long time, partly because the only time we'll do another episode of the series is when we don't come up with a better idea for a Monday.
Yep. It was basically due to lack of ideas for a Monday. We came up, all right, we'll do a long-running series to fill in the gaps.
I mean, this will take us years. There's a lot of things I could talk about. I mean, right now, I'm looking at all the books in front of me on my desk. I mean, network printing, HTML, Perl, ASP,
yep,
Java.
We'll eventually get there.
Yep.
But right today, we're still on the low levels.
Now, we left off, we had basically come up with binary logic, logic gates, Turing machines, input, output. Input comes in, If for any given input, the output will always be the same. Everything is fully deterministic. You put data in, and then the data is manipulated, and it comes back out with electricity.
That's what a computer is.
Well, to a point. I mean, what we described and what we brought together, a bunch of logic gates, and for every signal you put in, a deterministic signal will come out. That can't do much other than calculate one thing. How do you get from calculating one thing to calculating more than one thing like computers do?
Oh, it's tricky. I mean, if you just set up a bunch of logic gates, sure, you could put in one number here and one number there, and then a number comes out, but that's all it can do. It can't do anything else.
Yeah,
you need to make a whole different chip to do different things. And
in fact,
it couldn't do a lot of advanced things. Like, what if you wanted, to, add something together, remember that number, and then add something to that?
Basically, at this point, you would need an entire computer, an entire Turing machine for every possible question or every possible problem you could ever solve. I mean, down to 1 + 1 and 1 + 2 are two separate computers.
No, not really. You just need an adder.
Yeah, but I'm trying to...
Adding would need a different computer from subtracting, would need a different computer from multiplying. And if you wanted to use bigger numbers to add and subtract, you would need bigger computers.
If you wanted to...
And you would need more and more switches.
If you wanted to add more numbers, like 3 numbers instead of 2.
So to do most adding, to add any 2 numbers, you would need like any 2 reasonable numbers. You would need 64 switches. And then if you wanted to add 3 numbers together, well, you need another computer that had, God knows how many switches on it. It would just be crazy.
And nothing could remember anything, and basically the computer is useless.
Yep.
Now, we said that there's one other component in addition to the logic gates.
This was, I think, the answer to a trivia question.
Yep. I mean, we said and, or, all those logic gates.
NOR, XOR, NAND, etc.
Yep. Now, there was one component missing, and no one actually bothered to answer it, I don't think. Or if they did, it's been so long I forgot.
Yep. Well, the answer is a flip-flop.
Now, a flip-flop can be somewhat complex electronically.
Yeah, there are many different kinds of flip-flops, so we're not going to go over that because it's not necessary to know that unless you're going to go into electronics.
Yes, conceptually, in terms of what it does, it's actually very simple.
It remembers 1 bit.
It can remember something. You can put a bit into it, and the bit'll stay there, and if you tell it to shoot the bit back out, it'll shoot the bit back out.
Well, it constantly shoots the bit out, whatever it happens to be.
So if you choose to listen to it, then you'll get the bit back.
Yeah, basically, a flip-flop is actually a combination of gates, and it can be advanced or non-advanced, but what it does is it remembers a bit. So let's say you have a flip-flop, and right now it's 0, which is no electricity. You can send in a 1, and the flip-flop will change to 1. And it'll constantly output 1. And then you can change it to 0 or keep it at 1. And it will constantly shoot out 1 or 0, whatever happens to be in the flip-flop. And it'll do that basically forever. So you can do some math, and then the result of that math will do something to the flip-flop or to the whole mess of flip-flops. Let's say you have a whole mess of these guys, right? So let's say I have 32 flip-flops. I do some adding, and the result goes into 32-bit number, which goes into 32 flip-flops. Then I take the output of all those flip-flops, send them back into the input to add something else. Holy crap.
Yep. Now, if the machine you had, the input-output loop was just add 1 to whatever number came in, you'll just keep adding up, and you'll have a little counting machine.
Yep. Now, what if I want to do I do something, and then I want to say, if the last thing I did was this, then do this next. Or if the last thing I did was this, then do something else next. You have a flip-flop. It goes, doot, 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 doot. So you just look at the flip-flop to see what you just did, because it can remember things.
Now, if this doesn't seem like a huge leap or like an amazing thing, consider for a minute. I mean, we've added the ability of our Turing machine to remember something. So before, I add 1 and 1, I get 2. If I want to do anything else, I forget 2. I forget 2 even existed.
Well, it's not really a Turing machine, but whatever.
Yeah, we're real simple here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people complain.
Real simple. Turing machines.
I think we explained the concept pretty well.
No, we didn't explain the concept of Turing machine at all.
Oh, right, because Kate borrowed my copy of Diamond Age that had the awesome thing I wanted to read to everyone.
We never talked about a Turing machine at all.
All right, we'll talk about that whenever I get my book back.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I add 1 and 1, I get 2. If I want to add anything else, I forget 2. Now I can remember 2 and do something else. Or I can remember 2 and do something with 2. Mm-hmm. Or I can remember the order I did things in.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. That makes the leap from nothing or, a one operation thing to a computer.
Yep. I mean, you just get a whole mess of flip-flops in there, and you can get them to flip, and it's basically a bunch of switches that stay switched, as opposed to switches that you have to switch yourself, and yeah. And they change based on what you just did before, or what you did 2 times ago, or what you did 3 times ago. Now, the way a flip-flop kind of works, I'm not going to go too much into it, is that there is really 3 inputs, generally, but really only one that you care about.
You'd better get it, because I'm not editing anything.
Yep. So there's a clock, and let's see, let's just do an advanced flip-flop, the one that people use. It's actually called a latch, because there's a flip-flop that doesn't have a clock input, which is like a set-reset flip-flop, but the D-latch is the advanced kind. The way it works is it has an input line, which can be 0 or 1. It has a clock, which is a clock, which I'm going to talk about. It has an output, and then it has another output that is always the opposite of the other output. So, you can just use that or not use that at your will. Now, a clock, this is where we get into stuff. A clock is an input, but it's not an input that you control or anything. It's simply a clock, as in 1 0 0 0 1 0 0.
It's deterministic temporally. It is always giving out a reliable stream of binary data.
It just gives out ones on, or zeros at specific intervals.
Now, to shoot up to high level very briefly, how people have a CPU or a computer and they talk about the megahertz?
The megahertz is the clock.
That's how fast the clock is going, because every time the clock goes, hey, 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 it's going, do something, and the processor can do something if there's something to do. So the more times it says hey per second, the more things your computer can do in a second, and therefore the faster it is.
Yes, you have a bunch of crazy circuits and gates and stuff all arranged with flip-flops in there. And the flip-flops, whenever the clock says 1, that's when the flip-flops can change. That's when they do change. And then the clock says 0 and the flip-flops don't do anything, and then the clock says 1 and all the flip-flops change.
Now,
if your circuits are set up to where the results are, finished doing things fast enough, you can send in the ones more often, and your computer will do things faster.
Yep. Now, it's not a great reliable factor to determine how fast a computer is overall anymore, because chips have gotten more complex to where they can do more on a given, hey, do something, than older chips, and all sorts of other things that we'll talk about far in the future of this series.
Yes, but let's say you had a computer that had 1 flip-flop and it was 1 hertz. The 1 hertz means that once a second, the flip-flop changes, which means the computer basically does whatever it does, changing the flip-flop once a second. If it was a megahertz, it would do it 1,000,000 times a second. But if you had more flip-flops, and a much more complex processor, it gets crazy, and it's much faster to have more of them at a slower speed than fewer at a higher speed, and it's crazy.
Yep, and keep in mind, this sounds like a very simple thing. I mean, you save 1 bit in a flip-flop.
But you actually, in a real computer, there are cajillions of flip-flops going on.
Yep, I mean, we're talking such low level. Zoom out a lot, and there are billions and billions and billions of these things in your computer, flip-flopping constantly.
Yep.
Computers are extremely complex from a high level.
Modern computers.
Yeah, from a high level.
You can make something that is technically a computer with very, very few.
Yep. But the computer sitting in front of you now, or in your iPod, is doing an incredibly insane number of these flip-flops and gates per second.
Millions upon millions.
And it's very conceptually complex, yet at its root, it's doing very, very simple things a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are now functions that do this more efficiently, but early computer chips, like adders, right? If you wanted to multiply a number, you added it a bunch of times. Now there are special functions that can do matrix transformations and multiply things in one step or in different numbers of steps and do different fun things. But it used to be, and consider this as more of a broad analogy, that you do a very simple thing. I mean, adding is simpler than multiplying.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to multiply 9 times 9, you add 9 to 9 times.
And if you wanted to subtract, you just added negative numbers.
Yep.
Dividing, well, that's crazy, but you get the idea.
Yeah, we don't want to talk more about binary math because people had trouble with that enough. I think we'll do a whole show on that completely separate, like how to add and subtract and multiply and divide binary.
Yes. What's important to know is that the flip-flop or the latch is a electronic component that can remember a bit. It can remember 0 or 1, whereas in what we were talking about before, there was no way to remember a 0 or 1. Now you can remember it, which means you can do something based on what you did before, as opposed to just doing something, then doing something else, and then doing something else. You can do something, then based on the result of what you did, do something, and then based on the result of that, do something, and you can build upon things. You can set an option, and then based on that option, do something. You can change modes, you can change settings, you can change all sorts of things. You just need more flip-flops to have more complex things.
Yep, and if you keep making more and more flip-flops, you can do more and more and more, and it gets more and more complex, but it's still just these basic little things flipping back and forth.
Yep.
Now, the terms here involved are basically you have a stateless computer. It doesn't remember anything. Like when you add what Scott just said, the flip-flops, you now have a stateful computer, as in the state of things matters.
Yep, so let's say you have a computer with 2 flip-flops in it. That means there's 4 possible states. Both flip-flops are 0, one of them is 1, the other one is 1, they're both 1. 4 states. So in a computer...
Fanatical devotion to the Pope.
Yeah.
5 states.
Yeah. Throw a kinetic in there. So now, you could have a computer where, depending on which of the 4 states it's in, it does something completely different.
Yep.
Because that 1 bit or 2 bits of output from the flip-flops are going into the computer and changing the way the computer works.
Like a nice example that's probably in front of many of you right now. Look at your computer monitor or the screen on your iPod or your Zen or whatever. There's basically, not going to talk about video buffers and all that, but there's a place of flip-flops where every little pixel on your screen is just a bunch of flip-flops storing the data of what should appear on that pixel. It's just a matrix of data, and all that is just a whole bunch of flip-flops.
Well, they don't actually, I don't think those chips actually use flip-flops, but that's not the point.
They use memory. They use remembering.
Yes.
Things can remember in different ways. In fact, there was
a flip-flop is the basic electronic means of remembering. There are other means, but don't worry about them.
I may be corrected by one of our listeners, but as far as I know, the only computer components that really use flip-flops a lot now are like registers in CPUs.
Yep. That's basically where they're found.
I don't think there's anywhere else they're used anymore.
No, hard drives use magnetic means of memory.
Yep. RAM uses basically capacitors, though there are different kinds of RAM, but that's way beyond.
Yeah, your BIOS uses what's the equivalent of very small circuit breakers.
Yep. We'll talk about all of these in kind, because if they sound cool, this is actually where things start getting cool.
Yep. Is different ways of basically storing information and remembering it until later.
Yep, because
the flip-flop is just the basic component. It stores 1 bit. That's it.
So I kept saying flip-flop, but with the screen example, it's remembering. Every one of those things is just an array of things that remembered the state of something.
Yeah, if you change, there's an array of, pretend they're flip-flops, that remember 0s and 1s. So you do some math and you figure out what the output of this on the screen should be. You send it in and it modifies all these flip-flops. Then there's another device that reads those flip-flops and creates the image on your screen based on that. Those flip-flops remember what the screen is supposed to look like until you change it again.
So if I want to draw a square, I run a set of instructions that usually those instructions are stored somewhere.
Yeah, we'll talk about instructions next time.
Yep, but basically just a bunch of gates or a bunch of equations or a bunch of numbers that go in a certain way to create the math that will put into those flip-flops or those memory bits.
It will change the flip-flops that need to be changed to make a square.
Because that is all your computer does. It takes input, it saves it to memory, or it manipulates memory with that data. And all you're doing is changing 1s to 0s and 0s to 1s and 1s to 1s again and 0s to 0s again.
Yep, so in conclusion, a computer is input from the human being or from devices such as, a light sensor or a keyboard or a mouse or who knows what, goes and is processed somehow and then is outputted to a printer or a monitor or a speaker. The flip-flops, what they do is they are in the processing area. So you put some input, there's processing and output, but in the course of that processing, some things are remembered. So that way, you give another input, and the processing is different because, it's the the input that you gave before matters, not just the input you gave right now.
Now, we've gotten feedback as we've done this series. I think we're done talking about this for today.
Yep.
And the first feedback we got was that we were going way too fast.
Mm-hmm.
We've slowed it down about as slow as we can go. So if it sounded like we were repeating ourselves a lot, it's because we were. I mean, the concept of flip-flops is there's not much to it. So all we did was keep giving more and more analogies and trying to explain it again and again. So was that too slow? Was that right? You guys getting it?
Yeah, we need some more feedback. If you guys, yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing this for us. We know it. We're doing it for you because you were interested in how your computer works.
And we're eventually going to get to the stuff that's closer to what you understand. But this stuff will really give you like a huge insight. It's like, if we start talking about how email works, you'll be like, oh, cool. But a lot of it, you'll be like, huh. But that you're talking about this networking stuff, and then that networking stuff works on something else, which works eventually on the stuff we're talking about right now.
Plus, there are things we'll learn from each other, because Scott knows a lot more about the lower workings and the coding than I do.
Yep.
But when we get to the networking and things like that, I actually did learn things in college.
Oh, my God.
OMG.
OMG.
Even though, honestly, I learned more in the working world than I did at RIT. But
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's all we've got. Once again, if you're a new listener and you don't care about technology, but yet you still listen to the end of this, keep in mind that we talk about different things every day. We go 4 nights a week. If you're looking for the Kineticon feedback, it's going to be on Wednesday, which is Anime Day.
Yeah, Wednesday night. So for most of you schmucks, that means Thursday. But you should listen Wednesday night if you're cool and if you don't have anything better to do.
It seems like a decent portion of our listeners, like a good third, listen to the show on about a week lag time.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's people who commute, or I know a lot of people go through the archives because the oldest episodes on Libsyn are getting 3 or 4 downloads every day.
Yeah, to be honest with you, if I was a listener of Geeknights, I would probably subscribe to just 1 or 2 days. And listen, because it's just too much to have the 4 days.
Well, maybe we should start doing shorter episodes again.
Yeah, so we're out.
And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.